What's up, party people? It's Keys Dan with RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live and in living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Famous? It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do I always send you? DJLittleRock.com. One more time. DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote, and maybe you could have me at your next event. You know I like to party with the people. The people need to be entertained. Are you not entertained? Let me entertain you. Make your next thing a big one. Oh my goodness, speaking of entertainment, today on the program, this man, okay, he's been doing it a long time, but he finally got into the recording studio. I don't want to give too much away. I know that there was a few little glitches technologically, but on the program, I have Eddy Delmonico. Yes, he's that boy from New York City, from Long Island, but he's been around. He's been around, and now he's going to tell you at least a little part of his story in the next few minutes. So stick around. Eddy Delmonico, baby. All right. This week's shows, I have 2 public shows for your listening pleasure, for your enjoyment. I'll be at the Taylor's Made on Wednesday, Taylor's Made restaurant in Conway, Arkansas, in the south part of Conway, Arkansas. That is the first time I've been there in a long time. I did one show there probably going on over 10 years ago. I did one show inside, but they do a show on the patio. So they want me to go and do a show on the patio. The Video Dance Party Karaoke Jam. Yes, I said karaoke. You're the stars of the show. I play a little background music, but for the most part, you provide the entertainment over at Taylor's Made on Wednesday night. While the weather's good, we have a show outside. There's a little tent. Usually they'll keep a parachute out on the deck. I think they call it the parachute deck. It's one of those old military parachutes that provides a little cover from the sunshine. But for the most part, we're out there in the elements. So as long as the weather's good, we'll have a show Wednesday nights through the season at Taylor's Made in Conway, Arkansas. It starts at 7 p.m. and I think it goes at least till 9:30, maybe 10 o'clock at Taylor's Made Wednesday night. Brand new show for me. I'm so excited. So excited. And then on Friday night, I'm at my usual Friday night gig, the Rab in Conway, Arkansas, with the Video Dance Party Karaoke Jam. That's right. There's 2 shows this week where you could be the star of the show, or at least one of the stars. It's a little concert starring each and every one of you. But on Friday night, I'm at the Rab, Conway, Arkansas, Video Dance Party, Karaoke Jam, full bar, kitchen's open, pool tables. They got 10 diamond-style pool tables. And they got a pool tournament on Friday nights. So if you want to try your hand at playing pool and possibly make some money while you're doing it, you check out the Rab on Friday night. So Wednesday at Taylor's Made in Conway, Arkansas, the restaurant, and then on Friday night over at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas from 8 p.m. until 12:30 in the a.m. And then on Saturday, I have a wedding down in Little Rock. So unless you're invited, you cannot come. Why am I mentioning it? Because I get to go and do weddings. Oh, that's really my specialty. When I was in South Florida, when I was in Miami, the Florida Keys, I did weddings. Oh my goodness. At least 1, 2, sometimes 3 a week. Every week for years and years and years. And I do appreciate being a part of people's days. So weddings and birthday parties and even corporate events, those are fun as well. But I do like my karaoke shows. I like partying with the people. All right? Speaking of partying with the people, let's party with one people in particular. I got Eddy Delmonico on Skype. So if you're listening to the audio version, check out the video version on my YouTube, youtube.com/user/KeysDan. Skyping Eddy Delmonico now. Oh, you're looking very professional there, Mr. Eddy Delmonico. You're all framed up. No, you're succeeding. all framed up, looking good, got a well-lit room, bright smile on your face, got the cowboy hat on. For those people that are listening to the audio version of this, you better check out the video version so you see that cowboy honky-tonk playing a cowboy sitting in front of me, I guess. But I label you. I digress. Hi, Keys Dan at your service.
How are you?
Hello, Eddy Delmonico. The famous Eddy Delmonico that I've been told about. Jill Santabanis has been blowing up my phone over there at Nashville Entertainment Weekly. And she says good things about you. Now, I know that you only have a very small social media presence because you came about before this whole social media thing happened. You've been doing it a lot longer than computers. Well, I guess computers have been around for a while, but since computers went global and connected. So tell the people, give the people an idea of who an Eddy Delmonico is.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on the show. And I started writing songs and singing when I was 9 years old. I grew up with all the rock and roll legends like Ricky Nelson, Elvis, Roy Orbison, all of those guys. And so when I was a little kid, my mother and father and I, we'd watch Ozzie and Harriet. And at the end of each show, as you might remember, Ricky Nelson used to play those songs. And, you know, his father, Ozzie, was extremely smart because he was the first person to use television to promote an artist on the air. And people don't know it, but the first music video ever made was of Travelin' Man. That was the very first official music video ever made in 1961.
See, I don't know that one because I know that I know the video, but I always thought that it was Elvis's Jailhouse Rock 1957 because even though that was in the movie, if you take it out of the movie, it becomes its own entity. So whenever I do a lot of music video dance parties when I'm playing at the different clubs, and I'll say this is the first music video ever made was Jailhouse Rock 1957. But I guess it's arguable that if there's a whole separate music video made, Ozzie Nelson and Harriet Nelson and the whole Nelson family, maybe there is an argument to that. I might have to change my tune when I introduce that song.
Actually, if you look at the actual video of Ricky Nelson singing Travelin' Man, it has in the back of it, it's superimposed with a cruise ship going and the mountains, you know, just as he talks the song. And that was considered to be the first music video. In fact, you could find it online, actually, that it's true, that it was the first official music video. So what can I say? But I started all the way back then, and I always played the guitar, and I wrote these songs, and all through high school, and I kept quiet. And then life took over. You know, I joined the Navy, I got married, I had a family and so on. But believe it or not, I only started recording at 70 years old.
Eddy, you waited. You get the people needed you a long time ago, but you're only just giving it to them right now. You leave the people wanting more. Well, they wanted more, and here you are at 70 years old, starting a whole nother career. Hey, in the Navy, family, jobs, that all comes first, you know, for the most part, and then you find another passion that you left behind a long time ago.
Well, I honest to God, I never walked into a recording studio in my life until I was 70, and I'm going to be 73. So I walked in there with my songs because on my reel, on what you're looking at behind you, the first 10 songs I wrote, and I walked in there with my little Martin guitar, and I played it for the guy, and he did he looked at me and he said, "I think you got something here." And then he and Omnitone Studios in Las Vegas, who is this gentleman, Darren Shear, that's his studio. He and his crew, as you know, it takes a village to make a record. They took my original songs and they did what they do their magic to, and that's what you could hear right now. That's The Booze Don't Bury Me, Warm Lips, Cool Heart, all the songs that are on that reel, the first 10, they did a great, unbelievable job on.
Well, the one that's out on YouTube, and I appreciate that you took the time to make a music video, because once again, you cannot do it all by yourself. You have to have a group of people that can help you produce something. But hey, I'm a child of the MTV era. Maybe I'm a little bit younger than you, but not much younger. Well, when I went to high school, it was the 80s, and music was. You not only had to be a great singer, but you also had to look a certain way and have an appearance so that you can make it big on MTV. And even before that, it was Don Kirshner's Rock Concert was playing all those music videos back in the 70s. But when MTV came out in 81, you had to have a presence as well. And you had to make a video that told a story. Or you can have just a concert footage, but you took the time to make a video that tells a story through, The Booze Didn't Bury Me. That's a great title for a song. Me who works at bars every single week, every Friday night, I'm over at a bar, the Rab in Conway, Arkansas, and that song will be played this Friday night up on the screen, and people are going to go, who is that? And I'll say, that's Eddy Delmonico. You better go follow him around and chase him, because he's making music at this stage in his life. And this is fantastic, man. But you grew up in the 60s. You said you grew up around Elvis and Ricky Nelson. Those guys I think they're they would have been a bit older than you. Well, Elvis was born in what, 35?
Yeah. Well, he was born in 35. I was born in 52.
Okay.
But they were always those songs were always in the soundtrack, because back in the 60s, when there were no telephones, there were no cell phones, we would ride around in our cars with the AM radios on, listening to Murray the K or Cousin Brucey from WABC in New York City, right? And with the transmission from the Empire State Building that went 40 miles in a circle, right? And trust me, I remember all those songs of the summer of 68 and 69, Tommy James and the Shondells, Crystal Blue Persuasion, right? Neil Diamond, even Elvis's big comeback was in the winter of 68 when they had the comeback special, and then Suspicious Minds hit the air. And I'm one of the only people, I saw Elvis live at Madison Square Garden in 1972. And I'm going to tell you something, for those who don't know, that was the most electrifying performance I have ever seen in my life. He still looked good. I was 8 rows away. And I want to tell you something, to this day, and I've seen a lot of concerts, he was unbelievable. I'm speechless to tell you how it was. The place, Manhattan, came to a standstill. That night at Madison Square Garden, closed down. Everybody was going there to see Elvis. And when he came out, it went nuts. 27,000 people with Kodak cameras. Remember, no cell phones. And all the light bulbs are going off. And I was blinded by it, blinded by the light. It was unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Oh, my goodness. As much as of an Elvis fan that I am, I've been to Graceland quite a few times. And I can't imagine that you've never been in a recording studio, because I had to go to Sun Records. I had to get in there and go take the tour and look at some of the things that Elvis touched. Not just Elvis, but quite a few other recording artists. You get to Memphis and you see the history of Sun Records and even Stax Records and Graceland and the history of people going through there. But my goodness, to see the man perform live. You're talking about the 68 comeback special. Anybody could see that on television. It's him with the black leather suit in a round theater where he has a group of fellas playing their instruments, and he's just standing up in the middle, kind of turning around and making sure that everybody gets a good look. Yeah. And that's 68. And they say comeback special. I guess he was doing a lot of movies before that, to where he wasn't singing for a long time. But I'm a fan. I have a key to the Heartbreak Hotel. When I stayed there at the hotel, I said, I said, I'm going to keep this key because they had real actual keys, not the plastic cards. And I said, I'm going to keep this key, right? And she says, oh, yeah, just leave your deposit. Everybody does that. And I said, well, can I have another key from my grandma? Because she's the one that really got me into Elvis Presley. But, you're talking about the golden age of rock and roll, the 50s, the 60s, when they were first developing their instruments, Les Paul and all these greats were building these instruments, Gibson and Telecaster, and oh my gosh, that's the history of rock and roll. And you were there for a lot of it as you were growing up.
Whole thing.
Yeah, your formative years are in that history. I mean, I don't know if born in 51 or what it was, 51 or 2?
52.
52?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know if you'd remember the day the music died, at being at 7, 8 years old. Do you remember?
Oh, gosh. Oh, yes, I did. I was very, very attuned to it. I remember when Buddy Holly and Richie Valens and the Big Bopper got killed in the plane crash. And I guess it was Clear Lake, Idaho, where the hell it was, where the plane went down. They came from the dance party and they went down, and a couple of them, as I recall, one of them flipped a coin. I'm not sure who it was who didn't take the seat in the plane. I think. Let me think who it was. I think it was Dion from Dion and the Belmonts.
Waylon Jennings
flipped the coin that didn't get in the plane.
But Waylon Jennings didn't get in that plane. That was.
Waylon Jennings didn't get in the plane either, right?
Yes. I didn't know about Dion.
Very interesting.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes.
But, But we're, okay, all right. So people from New York say they don't have an accent. I don't have an accent. You have an accent. Where are you from?
I have an accent.
Okay. People from New York.
I'm originally from Long Island, from the Bronx.
Okay. Long Island is a very special place because when you're from Long Island, I think you have to pronounce it a certain way. Long Island. I'm from...
Yeah, Long Island.
Long Island. I got taught that. I'm from Miami, the biggest suburb of New York City. Whenever people... where do New Yorkers go when they retire? Miami. What's a New Yorker's favorite wine? I want to go to Florida. So I want to go to Florida. But I'm from Miami.
I lived in Fort Lauderdale for 18 years.
Fort Lauderdale. Graduated from Western High School. The class of 86 rules. So I'm from Fort Lauderdale, the Florida Keys and that kind of thing. So
cool.
What were you doing down in Fort Lauderdale, and when was that?
I lived in Fort Lauderdale from 1989 all the way up until 2003. Actually, I owned an environmental company in Florida, and I did all the environmental training on the cruise lines, and I sailed on 350 cruises around the world, training crew members in understanding environmental awareness.
That is fantastic.
So I was based in Fort Lauderdale, Miami, Fort Canaveral, so my office was in Fort Lauderdale. So that's how come I was there.
See, 89 to 2003, I was high on the, in the Florida Keys, and I was really getting my DJ career off the ground. So, yeah, I love that we were chewing the same dirt. But cruise lines, there's a life that you've lived, man. You've done so much. I'm guessing that advising the cruise lines, you get to go on the cruise lines. Where have you cruised?
Oh, I've been on 350 cruises around the world, all over.
Oh, my gosh.
I lived in England. I sailed on every ship for Royal Caribbean, for a Norwegian, for a Carnival. I sailed all over the world for 10 years. Yeah.
That is fantastic. And all this is fodder for songwriting, for a creative such as yourself.
Yes.
You have to experience things before you can create things. You can't come out of the womb and... Well, I mean, I guess there has to be somebody that has come out of the womb with ideas that were able to be put on paper once they were able to read and write. But for the most part, you have to have experiences before you can tell stories through movie, through poem, through book, or through song. and you've chosen the gift of song. Now, growing up in Long Island, I don't know the geography so well. I know that's got to be one of the boroughs of New York, and when people are from Long Island, it's a big place, but it's a very tight-knit community. As soon as you say you're from Long Island and you meet another Long Islander, you have to instantly have a connection, I'm sure.
Yes. Yeah, we do. It's a big family. Everything's very ethnic there. Either you're Italian or you're Jewish or you're Irish, but everybody, the fathers worked in Manhattan. They either took the Long Island Railroad or they drove into the city every day and came back. There's a lot of suburbs, but it's very, very family orientated. Yes, it is.
Well, okay, for being from Miami, I know living in a place where there's millions and millions of people, but to have I've never been to New York City. I've hardly been north of the Mason-Dixon line. I have to get to the city. I have to see, and I have to be one of those tourists that looks up at all the buildings like, wow, they are so tall. Because most cities are spread out. Los Angeles is spread out. I guess Chicago is comparable to New York City in some respects, but there's nothing like New York City in the United States. I guess the other cities around the world have a lot of people bunched up together, London, Paris, those places. But in America, the only place is New York City where all these people live together, for the most part in harmony. Sometimes there's little problems. The 70s had to be interesting times growing up for you in New York. Tell me how it was growing up through the 60s into the 70s and then finally getting out of town in the late 80s and heading for Florida.
Well, the big, during the 60s, of course, the Vietnam War was on. A lot of the people I went to high school with in Long Island, they became very talented. One gentleman, his name is Vince Giordano. He became band leader with Vince Giordano and the Blackhawks, the Nighthawks. He's a big. Marcus Barone became a big he's in the music industry. So in the high school I went to, which was Hop Hog High School out of the city, there were a lot of gifted people that became pretty well known in the various industries. And it was that kind of a time. It was a very back then. There was a mother, there was a father, there was a family. We went to church, and everybody was very upward mobile. High school, and we worked, and worked hard, and we were all very motivated. So, kind of a different world nowadays, in my opinion. Anyway, I mean, I still get up at 4:00 in the morning. I walk 3 miles a day. I do 100 jumping jacks, and I still have a job besides doing the music. Okay, so the thing is that. That's how I grew up. My father took the train to the city every day to go to work, came home. My mother made dinner for him. So we had Sunday dinners like the Italians have all the time. So I really think I grew up in the best of times, to be honest with you. I really do.
It's a rarity to have those values. You talk about Ozzie and Harriet. You were living the Ozzie and Harriet life at that time. And not a lot of people can go without two incomes. I told my wife years ago, she was hardworking woman. And then as soon as she got pregnant with our child, I said, look, you can go ahead and stop working and take care of the family, take care of the house and be a housemaker. And that was almost unheard of. My family and friends looked at me in like I was a crazy person. How are you going to make it on one income? Well, I work my tail off to make sure that we have, what we need, and we live kind of simply. We don't live very extravagantly, and but that was the norm before the 50s and 60s, before the hustle and bustle, before the 80s when everybody had to have cash and Wall Street and got to get money and more, bigger, better, more. And you were defined by the things that you owned rather than the spirit that you have, the kind of person that you were. And you're right. It's probably gone downhill. Hopefully those values do come back to where a mom could be a mom, and take care of the children. She has the harder job taking care of me.
I hear you. I do. I believe in the simple values that growing up. I still believe in those things, and quite frankly, I'm glad that the country sort of turned in a direction again. To be honest with you.
It's heading that way. I know it always swings like a pendulum. My whole life,
Yes.
you know, you can go liberal, conservative, liberal, conservative, liberal, conservative, and you know it has to swing. But I hope that most people just hang here in the middle, where we're trying to have a decent life. You know, just right here.
Right.
You know, right here, where the pendulum doesn't swing all that much. That would be great.
I agree. I agree.
So tell me about the songwriting. You said that you played since you were a kid, but were you playing other people's songs, or I guess you start out that way? But when did you start making your own songs that you were singing?
I started writing my own songs, usually based on kind of romantic experiences in high school. I started writing songs when I was pretty shy as a kid, so I kind of introverted, and I get my heart broke by these girls when I was like 14 and 15, 'cause I just was very awkward with girls. So I'd go in my room and I'd make a song up about it. So all the songs, most of the songs on my reel are related to some kind of a heartbreaking experience. If you listen to them, you'll see they're all kind of wrapped around that theme of very romantic, and you can hear all the words, and it's kind of simple tunes, but that's it just kind of came out of me. We did them all, and then of course we reorchestrated them and brought them up to modern times, and we added the backgrounds and all the things, and that's Darren's work, and the people at Omnitone did all that for me, of course, wrapped it around my voice.
Where is Omnitone? What city is that located in?
They are in Las Vegas.
How did you end up recording in Las Vegas?
Well, that's where I live. I live here in Vegas, and I literally picked Omnitone out of the phone book, and I went to see this guy at night, and I was scared out of my mind when I walked into the studio. I had never walked in a studio, and I plunked down some chords, and I started playing some of my songs in a simple way, and this guy started taking notes, and he said, "I think we got something here." He says, "Let me work on it a little." I gave him a rough cut of one of the songs, then he came back 2 days later with an orchestrated version of it, and it sounded great. So then we started recording. One song after another is what you hear on my whole thing.
Wow. And is this all studio musicians, or are these people that you came with?
No, these are all studio people that Darren got. He has a whole group that he puts together, and we have it mixed by a very famous mixer. And this fella's involved with some very, very serious people, and he really knows how to put this stuff together. So that's what he did. And I'm a totally unknown. And then I just on my own decided to do the music video. I never did a music video in my life, obviously. And I went up there, and believe it or not, we shot that thing in one take, the whole thing.
That is impressive. Once again, you have to have a good team. You can come in with an idea, and to have, it's good that you found Omnitone, and happenstance that you walked into the right building, and that they had a group of hired guns, because that's how the music was made in the 50s and 60s. So really, and into the 70s, there was a handful of studios, and every studio had their own musicians that were studio musicians. I think, what was it, Green Onions and the Wrecking Crew did most of the music.
The Wrecking Crew, right? The Wrecking Crew was the big one, right?
Yeah, and I guess that was that did most of the music back in the 50s and 60s. And I think the Monkees, they were a made up group at one point, and all four of them learned their instruments so they could make a record. They all walk into the studio, and they said, "Oh, all we need is Davey for the vocals. The rest of you can go home." What?
Right. That's correct. Kirshner, he did that. Then the Monkees finally got good enough that they could actually play and go on tour themselves, and they were pretty good.
Yeah. They were great. I mean, I enjoyed the TV show, and then I enjoyed watching the concert footage. And every once in a while, I'll play one of their music videos when I'm doing a show. But you're developing my playlist for Friday night? Because I play stuff like, for example, last week I asked a gentleman, hey, what year did you graduate? He said 1987. So I played all the music of 1987. The next week it'll be, oh, what year did you graduate? 2013. Okay, 2013. But you're giving me, play the 50s. Okay, I'm going to work that in there because most of the people at that club are my age, somewhere in their 50s, and some into the 60s, and some a little younger. I think they're going to appreciate if I pull out some of that 50s and 60s music this weekend, and we're going to see, how that works out. And of course, I'm gonna mix in a Eddy Delmonico song, and they're going to go, wait, I like that rockabilly. That's a good song. But so you have been writing the music. Did you play it for anybody? Did you play? You said you hadn't gone to studio, but did you play in concert for anybody? Have you played for anybody besides your family?
No. I've never played for anybody at all. I've never played for any. The first time I actually got on a stage is when I made that music video. And obviously, the Indie Film Factory in Las Vegas made that. They were shooting me from different angles. And of course, I never did it before. I'm telling you, I never did this before. Never.
I mean, did you play for your family at all, at least a little bit?
Yeah, I played for my family. I played for my family at little gatherings and so on. And I'm getting better at it because, I'm getting some notoriety with the songs. But no, I never was a child performer. I never did any of that. But I mean, what can I say? It's just to let you know, based on, I got invited to the Grand Ole Opry to sing in the choir this coming June.
Wow.
And I'm going. And I got invited and I've been so pleased, and they're so nice, and they've emailed me back and forth. So I'll be participating Sunday country morning at the Grand Ole Opry.
All right. Because of technology, you've cut out a little bit, but you got invited by who?
Well, actually, Jill kind of hooked it up, but I got invited by the people from the Grand Ole Opry that heard my songs or something, and they invited me, so I'm going to go. And I'm going to go there for a few days to attend rehearsals and hopefully meet a lot of people that perhaps can help my career, and that's why I'm going. So there I go.
There you go. I'm so glad that you got hooked up with Jill Sandbanes and TJ Cates.
Yes.
That's a great family.
Nice people.
And they've been really pushing the independent artists. I mean, a lot of the other artists as well. I mean, I think they take all comers. They're not solely with the independent artists. They'll take some people that have been around for a long time, or maybe trying to kickstart their career and trying to get back up on the horse. But my goodness, at 70 years old, you've already had a life. By 70 years old, you've done a lot of things. You've traveled around the world on a boat, and that's something that I haven't done. I haven't been out of this country, unless you count the Conch Republic back in the 80s when they seceded from the Union for about 3 days. Remember when Key West did that? Seceded from the Union for about 3 days. Yeah. And I think Jimmy Carter said, no. And sent the National Guard down there. You remember that?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
I know you got to South Florida a little bit after that, but my goodness. So, all right, and then you've lived in different places as well. Vegas is one of my favorite places to visit, and I don't gamble. One of my favorite places to go in Vegas is Circus, because I do like the shows there. So tell me what took you, okay, New York, we already know why you left New York. You went to Fort Lauderdale to do your energy business. What took you from Florida, and was it a straight line heading for Vegas? What took you there?
So I grew up in New York, and then in 1972, in the Navy, and then I got stationed out at the Naval Postgraduate School in Monterey, California.
Okay.
So I was in Monterey for 5 years. Okay. Then I went back to Long Island. I met my wife, and we got married. Then we moved to New Jersey for about 2 years, and then after that we moved to Chicago for 6 years. We lived in Chicago for 6 years, and then after that we moved to Florida, to Lakeland, for about 3 years, and then right after that we moved to Fort Lauderdale for the 18 years. And that's when I started the company in the environmental field on the cruise lines. 2005, I moved out to Arizona. I came up with basically a machine that took the mercury out of fluorescent light bulbs. So I moved to Arizona to work on that. And then the next thing you know, I got transferred to Las Vegas in 2005. So I've been here for 20 years in Las Vegas. And, Las Vegas is an interesting place, right? It's a love me or leave me place. And the biggest thing about it is you cannot be an addictive. Yeah, you have to not be an addictive personality. So if you gamble or drink or any of that, you're off leaving here because you're going to go broke or something bad's going to happen. Okay? That's just how it is. I was very lucky because I never drank, I never did drugs, I never smoked. But my Achilles heel was women and the relationships. That's why the booze didn't bury me, but the women did, right? So other guys drink themselves to death, okay? And believe me, down here on the Strip, you can see it all day long, okay? So Vegas is a very, very dynamic place. It's changing, evolves to a different thing. And now it's become very family-orientated, not the 60s or 70s. It's very family-orientated now. All the things you can do. Many big businesses are moving here. It's just for entertainment now. It's a sports capital of the world. I mean, they've got the stadiums. They've got the A's are coming here. The football team. Lots of businesses. All kinds of things. So it's becoming a very global city. So, of all the places I lived, I really like Las Vegas a lot. Number one, the weather's it's hot, but we don't get hurricanes. It isn't like in the middle of the country you get a rainstorm, all that stuff. It's okay. You go to mountains for snow, and if you want to go to the Strip for a show, you can. If you don't want, you don't have to. So it's sort of like you can lead your quiet if you want. I can see the stratosphere from my backyard. But when I first got here, I went and did all the shows and went to the Strip. But now I lead a relatively quiet life here, and.
Oh, we have a lot of parallel. You and I left Miami because of my wife. I married a hillbilly from Arkansas, so here I am in Arkansas and kind of winding down. I lead a quiet life myself. You think, oh, he must be loud. Have loud music all the time playing. No, not really. I watch some movies and I sit and I chat with my wife and my child, and I enjoy my family. I really do. And that is like the center of my life. And then playing music and getting to talk to folks like you and learning about what makes you tick and how you came to be who you are. You've been around the world and around the country, and you've settled in a place that really, I would probably settle in Las Vegas because, there's a lot of shows to see, a lot of restaurants to go to, but you can get just off the Strip and live a nice, quiet life just off the Strip.
Right. And if you want to partake, you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to,
Oh, yeah. So I'm a half hour north of Little Rock, Arkansas. And I guess Little Rock is our metropolitan area. But Conway, a little slower, not really slow because it's got colleges in it. And then I'm just outside of even Conway, Arkansas, to where I'm in a rural place that's very quiet. It's very quiet. I can go outside and see stars, and I'm sure parts of Vegas you can look up at and get inspired by the stars and the planets.
Yes, it's very clean. But I like Arkansas. I think Little Rock's beautiful down by the river. It's gorgeous.
Oh, for sure. I've seen a lot of concerts there as well. I think the first one I saw was KC and the Sunshine Band back in 2009. Yeah. And I've seen KC before, but that was the first show that I saw here in Arkansas. And it was, wow, KC followed me up from South Florida. How about that? I guess he was living in New York at the time. But oh, my goodness. I appreciate the music. I appreciate the history that you've touched upon. This is primarily a learning podcast, and I want the kids that are listening to this and the people that are listening to know that we stand on the shoulders of giants. You get inspired by what you're listening to on the AM radio. And you briefly mentioned the all the antennas on the top of the Empire State Building. I think it was it K-Rock that would say, we're transmitting live from the top of the Empire State Building. And everyone had an antenna on the top of they weren't lying. Everybody had it, though.
No. Yeah, on the top of your house. Yeah, sure.
But oh man, growing up in New York, I imagine that had to be fantastic, but dangerous at times. I mean, tell me about. You said the 72. You went to the Navy. What took you to the Navy?
Out in Long Island.
Oh,
it's pretty safe. I mean, we would cars and we went to high school and we drove into the city on the Long Island Expressway. So we really never visit the city. And then in those days, the city I felt it was relatively safe. And I'd go in and out to the city. But where we lived, it was really safe. I mean, the mothers in the thing. No, it was a different world, a different time, a different place. It wasn't, everybody watched out for everybody. It was a different kind of world.
Well, that's cool, man. But you in 72, you had the feeling that you needed to go into the Navy. What took you into the Navy? I play at the Choctaw VFW quite a bit, so I get to see a lot of veterans there.
Well, the thing is that it was like, let's see, it was 1970. I guess it was 1971. And I was working after high school. I graduated. I was working all these different jobs. So my father says to me, well, what are you going to do with yourself? So I said, I don't know. He said, I'll tell you what. He says, how about you joining the Navy? He was in the Navy in World War II. So he drove me down to the recruiter, dropped me off. They made me take a test. They said I would do okay. I could go to meteorology school in the Navy. So he says, okay, sign up, go. Then that was it. So they came off the boot camp. I was scared to death. I never left my house or my room at all in my whole life. And then there I went. Boom.
But you say they trained you in meteorology. Is that where your love of the environment came about?
Well, not really. I went to school for meteorology and then for oceanography, and I lived out there in a very way. It was the very beginnings of the computer systems for the Navy that analyzed all the weather reports around the world for all that. But that was like 19 when I was just first coming on board. So it was very primitive compared to today's, weather forecasting and snow on. But it was a great place. It was a wonderful time in Monterey. I got to go to San Francisco during the time when Fleetwood Mac, the Rumors album and all that. Matter of fact, I still people that Rumors album, and I even know Ken Calais, the guy that produced it. I met him. So I know all about that. That's another whole during the time of all of that kind of music in the late 70s. Yes. And Rumors album to this day, I think it sold 40 million copies. It's the biggest selling album in the whole world. And back in 76 and 77, it just took over the airways in California. Fleetwood Mac. It did.
Well, there are very few perfect albums in the history of making albums, and Rumors is certainly, arguably, one of the perfect albums. I know Michael Jackson's Thriller. I think every song was a hit. Rumors, every song was a hit. Can you think of any other ones? I think there was a Pink Floyd record that was a perfect album. And some of these albums were just start to finish, hit after hit after hit, and just airplay constantly.
Yes, it was an amazing time for music. Music is truly the soundtrack of our. Remember back to certain things when what music was playing at the time. Remember the whole thing very clearly.
Oh my goodness. And to have records, to have an album in your hand, a 12-inch record, and to be able to pull it out of the sleeve and to read the liner notes. I'm going to sound older in 3, 2, 1. These kids today will never know the pleasure of reading the liner notes and to read in the Rumors where Mick Fleetwood was thinking about a certain thing when this song came about, and Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham and Christine McVie, they were all thinking about a certain thing, and oh my God, and it's all in the liner notes to where they tell stories.
Yeah.
And one of the things that you get live is sometimes the singer-songwriter, when you're performing live, you'll get a story about how, the booze didn't kill me. Will you tell a story on stage before you sing the song? If they come to an Eddy Delmonico show, are you going to tell stories about what you were thinking about?
If I can really, if it actually gets to that point, I will. I'll preface every song with why I wrote the song and where did it come from, and then I think yes, I would do that. Sure. Yeah.
That is for me, especially a solo artist like yourself, where it's you and a guitar or you and an instrument. I guess you play guitar. Is that your instrument?
But it's good as a record though. You'd have to have a whole backup setup going on. You'd have to have a deal. I couldn't just play that myself. It wouldn't sound the same.
Oh yeah, that's another thing about being a studio artist. It's hard to reproduce that live on stage, especially if you're using hired guns. You'd have to hire, a certain amount, a group of musicians everywhere you went. I mean, unless you found a good group of people in Vegas and you could play in Vegas.
Well, if I got a record deal, a record label would probably put all that together for me, most likely.
Probably right. But down in Miami, we have a lot of pop artists, freestyle artists, dance artists,
sure.
And they'll give me a CD that has the instrumental, and I'll put it in my DJ system, and they'll sing along, almost like karaoke, but they still have their inflection, they still have their liveness. They're not lip syncing, but you can have that as well, to where you'll have an instrumental version and sing along, maybe play guitar with it. I'm sure for intimate shows, you could do that.
Yeah, I think so. Again, I'm just stepping out here into the water. This is hopefully this is going to take more steps, and I'm doing it one little thing at a time. First the record, now I made a music video, and now of course all this stuff. So I'm doing it as fast as I can. I'm saying I got to get going. Time's my enemy.
But you're battling Father Time. You say you run, you exercise, you have a good routine that keeps your body in shape. Because yes, this music business, especially doing live performances, can take a lot out of you. I think Iggy Pop loses 15 pounds every time he would do a show. You lose a lot of water weight. Mick Jagger going up and down the stage. All these. You lose a lot of weight running up and down the stage.
He's 80. What is he? 80? These guys were in their 80s running around doing this stuff. I can't believe it.
Well, I remember.
So I got hope. Hopefully, I got 10 years ahead of me to do this. Hopefully.
At the very least, and my hope is with you as well. I remember, was it 20 years ago, the Steel Wheels tour, and we all thought that was the Steel Wheelchairs tour. Oh, these guys are done. How many times has Elton John done his last performance? And how many times can you retire?
I know. Well, they don't do it for the money. They do it for the love of doing it. That's what they don't need the money. That's for sure.
Yeah. And I'm seeing that that's you as well. You love doing the music. You love putting the music out there. The songs are happy songs. They're honky tonk, hillbilly, country, Americana, just fun songs to listen to when your backyard party, or like I said, in the club this weekend. I'll be playing them for all the old farts that are out there playing pool, and then they're going to go, that's great. Yeah, so, I appreciate that you're still putting this music out. Years ago, when I was DJing a party in early 2000s, I was doing an 80s party, and a little girl came up to me and she says, how come they don't do 80s music anymore? And I kind of looked at her funny because, that was a time, 80s, it's dictated by the time. It's not a type of music, but you could sound like that. You can put yourself back there and create music like they did in the 50s, like they did in the 60s and 70s. And that's what you're doing. You're taking all that flavor, all that soundtrack of your life, and you're putting it together and making Eddy Delmonico music. Love it.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate the whole thing. Thank you very much.
Well, as we wind this thing down, let's, I know I've taken some time. Let's give some shout outs to people. You've already talked about your studio that you happened to walk into, that you were scared to walk into. But give shout outs to that studio again and the people that have helped you in there.
That's Darren Shear Studios in Las Vegas and all of his whole ensemble that makes it possible. And then as far as the music video, that fella's name is Kelly Schwartz with the Indie Factory in Las Vegas. They put that whole video together for me. And also, the restaurant we shot it at was Casa di Amore on Tropicana. They allowed us to use the restaurant at no cost. I've been doing all. I don't have a label. I don't have a manager. I don't have an agent. I don't have anything. I've been doing it all on a shoestring, the whole thing.
But you're doing it, and you have the Nashville Entertainment Weekly helping you out as well, and they're kind of helping to promote
and now
you.
I met Jill and TJ. Seem like very lovely people. I'd like to meet them. I'm going to go to Nashville, and I'm very happy that they've decided to take me on and to help me with this.
All right, and I do want you to repeat the because of technology, you cut out a little bit for the studio. Tell me the name of the studio and the people that are at that studio.
Yes, the Omnitone Studio, and the owner is Darren Shear, and he's the person that runs the studio, the production engineer, as well as he's a songwriter as well, and all of his ensemble that makes it all happen. Okay, so this is Darren at the Omnitone Studios, and Kelly Schwartz at the Indie Film Factory. And, of course, all the people involved in the video, we just pieced everybody together. I'm telling you, it was a hodgepodge, but it all kind of came together quickly. People off the street for the music video. I'm not kidding. And we just said, come on. They just came in. That's how we did it. I'm not kidding you. We winged it, the whole thing.
Hey, sometimes that's the best way. That's what the cinema veritas, where you just take pictures of life. What was it? Benici, or who was it that did like that? All these just filming life, cinema veritas.
Yes.
But so tell. All right. Well, now that we've talked about the business, talked about how you grew up, and let's talk about how you're dealing with the new thing. It used to be you'd have a record company, a record label that would promote you. Now you have to be internet savvy, you have to be computer savvy, and you have to know how to promote yourself online. Tell me how that is changing your life, being on Facebook.
Well, I'm kind of I'm a dinosaur with this. I don't know, and frankly, that's why I got involved. I mean, we're all good at certain things. I can send email things, but computer, I'm not good at the social media stuff. So again, I don't know. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. Jill says she's going to take care of it. So I have to trust her to do that because I can't do it. Frankly, I don't want to do it. I don't like doing it. I was worried about signing on to this call if I push the wrong button to work. Okay. So it's like, that's it. I didn't grow up, believe it or not, there was a time we didn't have computers, and guess what? The world still went on. Believe it or not, it all still worked. Okay.
Well, now it's Dick Tracy. We have a computer on our watch, and we can actually look at FaceTime on our watch, just like Dick Tracy did back in the 40s.
I know.
All right.
I remember that.
Well, you've taken me something old, something new, and the future is here. I found your Facebook, I found your YouTube, and of course I found your webpage, eddydelmonico.com, and I want people to go visit your webpage and website. Where are you planning on putting together a few people and maybe playing a show on the Vegas Strip or somewhere around Vegas, somewhere around your house?
Right now, not really. I don't have it. My website is eddydelmonico.com. That's Eddy Delmonico. All of my songs on there, including I did 7 covers, including Only the Lonely. And you may to listen to Only the Lonely. Several people have said they really think that's. And we'll see. But you know, did the covers yesterday. Only the Lonely, a couple of Elvis covers, and Baby Holly. I did a cover of Baby Baby. So you take a listen to that. But no, we don't put any shows together or anything. We're right kind of on the verge of all of these things, depending upon how it spins up. I need help. I need help. I do. You know, you need, unfortunately, in today's world, you need the social media. They claim you have to have over 1 million hits to get any attention by a record label. I don't know how true that is or not. Or you need some big financial backing, either rich parents or rich friends or rich somebody. And I have neither of those. So we'll see what happens. You know what I mean? That's kind of where it's at for me. I'm just out there and I'm seeing what the universe brings to me. You know, that's what I'm doing, and pray to God all the time about everything, of course. So anyway,
I don't like that the artist had to do all the footwork for a record label. We'll even say hello, but you've pulled out, hey, even
right.
In addition to the original songs, you've pulled out some of the most covered, some of the greatest songs ever made, between the Beatles' Yesterday, between Roy Orbison's Only the Lonely, and Maybe Baby by Buddy Holly. My goodness, those are some songs. If you're going to cover a song, cover the greats. My goodness, you've definitely done it. All right, my friend Eddy Delmonico, so happy to have you on the show. I appreciate you so much. I don't want this to be the last time we talk. As time progresses, if you want to come back on and tell the people what's happening in your neck of the woods and your life, do that.
Thank you.
But I always finish these things off with last words for the people. This could be words to live by, something you heard a long time ago, maybe a mantra that you wake up with, or just whatever pops into your head at this moment in time. Eddy Delmonico, give the last words for the people.
I would say never give up on your dream. Never. Keep going, because what do you have to lose? Because we only get one shot at this life. It's not a dress rehearsal. So that's why I decided to grab it and go. You know what? Again, I knew somewhere down the road I would do this again. I didn't know where or what, but all of a sudden it just sort of revealed itself. So I see us. I mean, we're only on this planet a limited time, so we got to make that, whatever we can. That's my last words.
Well, there you have it, party people. Eddy Delmonico starting a whole music career at 70. At 70. He's had multiple careers throughout his long life. At 70. He decides to go into a recording studio and record some music. He's been writing it. He's been playing it only for his family, apparently. Hasn't ever done a concert out on stage with anybody else. But at 70, he starts a music career. Come on, Eddy Delmonico. That's fantastic, man. It's never too late to follow your dreams. And you know, he's had family. He's been in the Navy. He started a career helping the environment, all right? Trying to save the world, keeping the boats environmentally friendly. What? Okay? Going all over this great country, all over the world, but all over this great country of ours, training people to make sure that they're environmentally friendly. I know that people are worried about the earth being uninhabitable for human beings. The earth is going to be here. The earth will, whether we're here or not, the earth is going to be here. But if it's inhabitable or not, that might be partially up to us. I mean, it could be a whole change of things, a whole lot of events. But if we could do our part to stop stop what's happening, to keep us viable, to let humans live, and is it entirely up to us? No. I'm sure there's other forces that are working against us. I mean, there was an ice age. I don't think we caused the ice age, and there was a lot of hot lava at one point. I don't think we caused that either. So the earth does have its ebbs and flows. It's hot and cold, but hopefully we can stick around for a little bit longer on this earth, if she'll have us. And Eddy Delmonico training people on how to keep the earth friendly, the environment. I appreciate that. and singing songs, man. Check out EddyDelmonico.com. The links are in the show notes below. And follow him on Facebook. I don't even know if it's going to be him on the Facebook. I guess he'll look at it from time to time. But Jill Santabanez and TJ Cates over at Nashville Entertainment Weekly will be the ones that are primarily running his social media. But his website looks great. Oh, my goodness. I don't know who built that really, but his website looks great. It's nice to have a team behind you. All right, Eddy Delmonico, thank you so much for being on the program. That concludes this edition of What Makes You Famous. Now, if you, yes, you, my loyal listener, if you'd like to tell your story, I encourage you to give me a call, 501-470-6386, or email keysdan@aol.com. That's it for me. It's keysdan, radiowhat.com, djlittlerock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.